had had enough.
Well, you drove out there into the middle of nowhere and had some sort of loud verbal display challenging ET in general out in the middle of nowhere?
That's what I was doing. I actually had a pistol in my hand at the time. I was really ticked off. When I was having this fit, I was waving the gun in the air, okay, and I had this fit. And at this moment, I said, okay.
He was a Louisiana man named Montaldo. Folks around called him Six Gun Joe. Worked with ICAR, don't you know? Investigating UFOs. Out for a drive with a gal one night, they stopped to check out the reporting site. When an alien lit right there on the ground, he commenced to throwing his weight around. Now, old Six Gun didn't take too kindly to that kind of thing, especially without Vaseline or anything like that, you know. Seriously. Well, Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, "Any last wish before you die?" Yo, reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, "Fill your claw, you son of a bitch." Now a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, you don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
Hi, and thank you all for joining us today. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sunday night edition of Into the Night with me, your host, Sean Kelly. I want to thank UPRN Talk Radio, 105.3 Mississippi, 107.7 New Orleans. And don't forget, I also have a show on Tuesday nights from 8:10 to 9:10 p.m. Here on the same platform. Don't know what I'm going to come up with for this Tuesday, but you know what? It's going to be very, very interesting. I want to get right into my guest tonight. I have known Phil for at least 3-4 years, and he is one hell of a paranormal investigator, him and his wife, Julia. They are very, very good. And the experiences that they encountered in their paranormal field, in their house that they lived in, and he will talk about the house. But so we want to talk about Annabelle tonight, and he was on TMZ. Okay, so I'm really looking forward to his version of Annabelle. Hey, Marquetti, Z, Heidi, Vet Girl, thanks for all the drinks. Hold on, who else we got in here? Kurt, doing great, man. Good to see you. Sherry Madigan, thank you so much for stopping in tonight. Who else we got in here? Hey, Kevin. That's not Brian, it's Kevin. Hey, Kevin, good to see you. Joni, good to see you, hon. Let me see. Okay, so we got them all in there. But my guest tonight um, is a good person, a good investigator, and tells it as it is. He's also an author. Um, but we got to get to the story. Don't forget, I'll be on for an extra half hour tonight. Patrick, my brother's on, who is Annabelle. All right, God bless you, Patrick. That's my brother. All right. Without further ado, I am going to introduce my guest tonight, Mr. Philip Siracusa. Hey, Phil, good to see you back.
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's been a long time.
I know it's been a great long time. What's going on, dude?
The good news is that, as I was saying before the show started, we moved in March out of the infamous haunted Horsefly Chronicles home, and things are getting better, a lot better. And when you leave that environment of negative energy, negativity, you don't realize how better your life becomes till you go back once in a while. Like we had to go back today to pick up a few extra things, um, and you could feel that residual energy in the home. So we will. What my goal was for years is to move far away, so we're like an hour away from the property, which is great. And life's been better, And it's good to see you. I'm looking forward to the show and taking some questions out in your audience in the chat. And hello, everybody. I may not be able to communicate through chat, but Sean will be asking me the questions.
So if you want to ask Philip any questions, type them in, and then I will ask it to him. I'll tell him the question that you want. So Philip, if you can, we got an hour and a half here. Can you explain the negativity that was in your house? I don't want to jar any really bad things going on, but for some reason, I do believe that what happened in your house pertains to the situation with Annabelle. Could you do that, please?
Well, the thing is, when you live in a home, and that was, that house was built in 1996, the Horsefly Chronicles home. So we were the third owner, ironically, and the first two owners lasted 7 years each. Lucky number for them. And we were there 15 years. But what happens is that you start to become drained, see shadows, and you think you're seeing people that don't even exist, and you can't really make out what they look like. It's so quick. So the energy in the home, yes, is on a ley line. Just brought a lot of activity that wasn't good. It was more of the bad sense of energy, nothing that was positive for myself or the family. And I talked about Annabelle because I knew Dan Rivera, great guy. And in 2020, Dan Rivera was part of NESPR. Now, when he came to my home, he was helping us identify what we were dealing with. And he said to me, look, in a private conversation, that he felt like what we're dealing with in that home and what the communication is what he feels like is similar to what was in that Amityville horror house. Very similar. And it took a while for me to digest that and mentally understand that. So he asked me, because one of the ghosts that we picked up in the Horsefly Chronicles home, the name was Sarah. It's a girl who said, my name is Sarah, through like the Ouija board sessions of people using the Ouija board and whatnot. So I remember this one thing that Dan asked me to do. He says, ask Sarah, who are you? But he recorded it on a digital recorder. And he says, I'll play it back. When it's over, let's see if we pick up anything. So we were in the basement, and his team was there. And I asked, Sarah, who are you really? And he played it back about 40 seconds later. And it says to each and every one of us, in a very mean man's voice, go F yourselves.
Whoa.
And we all felt that chill because it was no longer a girl. So then we went up to the living room, and we were sitting down, and he was reading prayers. And about 2 minutes into the prayers, all the lights between the living room, dining room, and kitchen went on so bright that all of us, all 8 of us, had to like almost close our eyes because the light bulbs they looked like they would explode, and then it went away. It was gone. And we
That's
thought it was
insane.
gone. It was
That's
gone
crazy.
for 6 months. I remember that was in July of 2020. And the next day was a Sunday, and we woke up happy. And what a difference! The air in the home felt light, and the energy was light. What a big difference! But then October, November, things started to shift again, where the shadows started to reappear. So what we've learned, again, the Horsefly Chronicles home, we've had over 52 paranormal teams from around the world. A lot of people would say it's fake, it's this, it's that, and maybe there was times I didn't know what I was dealing with. Maybe it was a false illusion, an imagination, or something that I wasn't getting, or my family wasn't getting. But when you have 52 paranormal teams, and you have communication and validation from the other side, and what we've learned is that it doesn't play nice. It never plays nice, whether it's an audio recorder, K2, REM pod, whatever kind of equipment they were using, it seemed to malfunction very quickly, right off the bat. And there was this one time when the team was filming a show in my basement, and the camera on the tripod is turning by itself, which can't happen. It's impossible. It's actually turning. And at the same time, ironically, the other half of the team in my garage is screaming because they see a big black shadow that they can't identify. So energy, negative energy, dark energy has a way of manipulating not only equipment, but people as well. So sometimes we call them parlor tricks. Now, parlor tricks are we could both be in the same room of a haunted location. I see a demon, you see nothing. The next time you see the demon, I see nothing. It's able, again, we don't understand everything, right? We're all not a god, we're humans. But what it's able to do is trigger the mind into a way of false imaginations. And it will never show itself for what it really is. That it has a good way of playing hide and seek, but I will never tell you. It will never show you. And that's why when you see a lot of these movies, even though they're prefabricated, that they say, "Demon, what is your name? What is your name? Tell me your name." The demon or entity never reveals a name. It's always a false name. It never gives the name. And the reason is because it doesn't give up its identity. And unfortunately, in the Horsefly Chronicles home, we were never given a name. With Dan Rivera, who was a great guy, did believe that this was Legion and that there were many. And he ties it right back because when we had this private talk, he felt like he asked me my life story of how I think this happened. And he had said that there's a lot of similarities between our lives. And I asked him about, you know, do you feel like if I move or objects or this energy can follow? And he goes, of course. And I agree because I've been on radio shows since 2013. And then people lived far, far away from me, that were broadcasting these shows. And I remember them saying that the next day they were being visited by something. And look, as a hardcore New Yorker, I thought they were crazy. I didn't believe it. I was like, maybe you're on something, But the truth is, I learned that it's possible. It is possible that these things can travel, which leads me to the identification of the Annabelle doll. Now,
before you go on, I have a question for you from Kevin. Let me get back up here. They're fast. Hold on one second. Do you think that light was the energy of the group sending it back where it came from, booting it out? Question mark.
I think the energy from the light was this positive flow of reinforcement through the prayers that Dan was reading that was casting this thing away, because he was the only one that was fully focused and engaged on removing it. And he didn't tell me. See, he had a master plan. He didn't tell me what he was going to do. He never told me this is the plan. I thought we were just going to sit in the living room and talk. And then he takes out a prayer book, and I was even like, "What's this? What is he doing?" You know. But I understood he didn't want the entity to know what was happening, so he kept it to himself and just hit it with a right hook, and he did a great job with that. It
Okay.
was smart. It was a very smart move, because they say that if you're going to try to cast something out, don't tell the people living in the haunted house. We're going to do it, and then we're going to tell them what we've done. It's just this way, this thing doesn't listen, because honestly, these things do listen. It's like I'm talking to you.
Okay. Kurt says, Sean, at the Bigfoot Cryptid Fest, they had Ouija boards. It felt weird just walking around the area. It seemed deafening silent in a busy mall. I told Jendo we can only look, not buy. Sean said so. We weren't going to anyway. We just wanted to walk around that area. And as soon as we left, we both looked at each other and just knew off each other's face, held to the no on the board. Now Kevin comes back and said the one calling himself Sarah gave up his identity when he got angry in male's voice. Kevin feels. And he also said, okay, so the light was the result of his prayers. Got it. And your wife says absolutely 100%.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Hey, Michelle. Hi, Julia. Good to see you. So I'm going to come and I'm going to share to you how I feel about that Annabelle doll. All right.
Yes.
Now I've had 3 or 4 shows on it, and I really truly believe that a doll, okay, caused your friend's demise. Okay, I have a hard time believing it. Now I have, like I told you before the show, I've been around a lot of haunted objects where a lot of spirits were attached. Okay, but nothing to the extreme to where somebody has met its demise. Okay. And if he was with the doll all the time, okay, I want to know if he knew not to take it out of the box, why did he take it out of the box?
Great question. Now, let me tell you and everybody else out there. Now, listen to me very carefully. The devil is always in disguise. You think in your mind and in my mind, and we all think, well, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to take it out. And then I'm going to take it out. Do you know what it does? Do you know how this works? If the 15 years of living in a haunted home, this is how it works. It gives you false impressions of thoughts. That's what it does. It tricks the mind. Dan never, ever would take that thing out of the box. Ever. Ever. But he did, because it knew how to get to him. Evil, I have said this over 1,000 times, evil finds its weakest link in a person. And each and every one of us have a weak link. We all do. None of us are perfect. And it will find that null and void and work its way in. And once it finds its way in, it knows how to control you. And that's what it does. Now, how do I know that? Because in my book, The Horsefly Chronicles, I did something that people say, how could you do such a thing? I remember in my book, and everybody knows about this, I dug up a grave in the early 90s with a few people. Now, you would say, why would you do that? That's not that's horrible. And you know what? You're right. But I did it under false impressions. And then I realized after the fact, years after the fact, how I was being tricked into doing it and what I did. And burying a Ouija board in the casket of someone from the 18th century. And you would say, it blows your mind. Why? Why? And this is exactly what happened with Dan. This is what it does. If anybody knows about a real haunting, is a real paranormal investigator, you'll know that it can play off the mind. It will play off your fears. It will play off your thoughts. It will play off your emotions. And it will find your weakness and take you down. Example, if you have an alcohol addiction, a drug addiction, an abuse, whatever kind of addiction you have, and you put yourself around an object or haunted location, it found its way in. And it always does. And I always say, people ask me, well, how do you protect yourself? And you want to know the truth? I don't have an answer. I really don't. I've dealt with priests and reverends and deacons. I respect everybody in all walks of religion, but I don't know that. I don't think anyone has a clue. We believe that we're free sometimes of certain things, but is there true freeness? I don't know. I don't have that answer. And this is exactly what happened with Dan.
Kurt, Joe, it's okay for being late for my lives. It's not a problem, buddy. Joe Fox, good to see you pop in. Kurt says, just like the Greys, not to be off topic, but they know they're small, fragile beings, so they invade your mind, your dreams, and your thoughts to communicate. Okay.
Agree.
Greys, aliens, yeah. But listen, we're at the bottom of the hour. It is 8:31, and at this time, Phil, I take a break. I take two breaks.
Awesome.
Everybody go have a cigarette, get something to drink, go to the bathroom, do what you got to do, and I'll see you back in a couple minutes, okay? Me and Phil will see you back in a couple minutes. So enjoy whatever I play for you. Yeah. Hold on. Here we go. What can I play for you guys this time for our break? Let's see. Okay, we'll go with this one. Okay.
Hi, I'm Brittany Ashley, your host of Breaking Norms, Building Dreams, your guide through this transformative journey in both business and life. This is your place crafted for dreamers, doers, or anyone who has been told they can't. Get ready as we challenge those narratives together. You're tuning in live to the United Public Radio Network, airing on 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. We are streaming on all the popular platforms every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join me for
the night has come, it's cold and losing my control. Your light is gone, and lonely darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's stop this conversation. Stop this conversation. We got no relation.
Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Hey, welcome back to everybody. Sunday night, into the night with me, your host, Sean Kelly. I'm on UPRN Talk Radio, 105.3 Mississippi, 107.7 New Orleans. A couple things. That girl, I'm still here, honey. That was the first intermission. We have another one coming up at 9 o'clock, so we're okay. We got an extra half hour tonight. Um, okay, she says, I know it just goes so fast, so grateful we get him a spare half hour. And Kevin says half hour is makes sense. He still has another half hour in his extra optional half hour, if I understood right. You're correct. But come September, starting September, thank you, Heidi. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Vet. But starting in September, the first Sunday in September, um, you're going to have a show right on after me. And so I'll be back to only doing hours on Sundays and Tuesdays. Maybe if you sweet talk station manager Michelle DeRoger, uh, write her an email, say, hey, we want Sean on for that extra hour, whatever. But tonight I'm with my guest, my very good friend of mine, Philip Siracusa, who we just start talking about Annabelle and how the devil or evil, you know, messes with people's minds, gets them at their weakness and possibility at that time. Your friend was in a bad spot and, he got tricked into opening up that box. Do you know? Am I right?
You're right, 100%. And same thing, like I said earlier in the show, same thing happened to me. Again, we all have a void, every one of us. So it'll find that void once it works its way in. Because you have to remember something: the Annabelle doll it's beyond haunted. It's there's an energy. You know that the movies have to put fluffs for views, and so we actually are entertained because paranormal investigating can be the most boring thing on the earth, right? It's like putting
Right.
one fish in a lake and hopefully you get it. So they fluff it, but the basis of these stories, of these movies, are real. And once it finds a way into a person of what their weakness is, it knows how to manipulate the mind. It can. Now, there are paranormal investigations, especially at the Horsefly Chronicles home. One a case in point of what I'm saying here is that I always like two teams to investigate at different parts of the property. One team was in my garage, and the other team was in my backyard. The team in the garage, I was with them, and one of the people getting called on the walkie-talkie to come in the backyard. I forgot the guy's name, but it would sound like one of their teammates. So we go into the backyard saying, well, what's going on here? And they said, well, we didn't call you. We didn't
Oh, wow.
call you. Now that's scary. If an entity can change its voice to yours, that is probably the most scariest thing.
Right.
That because then there's no boundaries. There's absolutely no boundaries on what these things can do. So right there is a master manipulator right there. False interpretations of echoing voices that we believe is the person communicating with us.
Uh, Joe Fox. Well, yeah, I'm drinking, Brian. I'm drinking my iced tea unsweetened. That's what I'm drinking. But Joe Fox, Phil, my whole life has been one addiction after another, from food to whatever. What is your take on constant addiction? And I think where Joe's going with this is, do you think that with all these addictions that he's being manipulated by something evil?
It's hard to say. I mean, there's a series of questions you have to ask a person to identify that, right? Look, I'm Italian. I love to eat. If you put chicken cutlet parmesan in front of me or a good calzone, well, I'm going to eat it no matter what it is, even if I shouldn't eat it. But the point is, we go through a series of questions as investigators, right? We have to go through some of the basis of their life and whether they have PSD or they were traumatized in any way in points of their life. Most likely, if someone has a food addiction, no, I would say no. Now, if they have a substance abuse, there are possibilities. Again, there's a lot of people who just have a lot of, there's possibilities that they're influenced by negative energy. But I wouldn't know that without a series of questions, and I wouldn't be doing it on the show.
Kurt says, I believe anything can do mini cry is dangerous, scary, and most likely not up to any good. And Joe Fox says, yes, Sean, exactly. And Kurt says, or just protecting themselves. Squatch Man, good to see you. I saw you pop in. Good to see you, brother. So back to Annabelle. He took it all over the United States. Was he doing it to show or to make money off it? Is it possible? Let me ask you this question. If he was making money off this, do you think maybe the demon was like saying, or even if it wasn't a demon, if it was something else, do you think he's saying, enough is enough? Quit using me to make your life better? I'm just throwing this question out, Phil.
Money is the force and greed of all evil, and we're forced to have so much money to live, each and every one of us. But when I'll say demon, finds a way into that perspective of our lives, it becomes the hunger and the thirst to support yourself, your family, and you'll do anything to bring in more money. So, in essence, if you have a guy, now Dan, I believe, was an average earner, hard worker, but sometimes the influence of money, right? You ever hear the saying, money's the root of all evil, in a lot of ways, because it is. It's the devil's playground, too. It's kind of like, let's show everybody. The problem what I have with the Annabelle doll going around, and I have this problem, is you're talking about a negative force, a negative energy that we really don't understand its capabilities. If I said that there was a master manipulator who could imitate a voice, then what do you think the Annabelle doll? Now, not the actual doll. The doll doesn't get up and walk around and start strangling people, right? I mean, but what happens is
that's movies, dude. Come on.
But
that's
what
movies.
Happens,
come on.
Yeah, well, people have some stupidity where like, well, Annabelle wasn't in the same room, so how could she kill him? And it racks my brain like, yeah, Annabelle got up off the chair and strangles the guy. No, that's not what happens here.
No.
But believe me, I get those questions. What actually happens here is whatever's attaching itself to it, whatever force, if you see that force, you won't survive. And that's my take on that. You will have a heart attack. You won't survive, no matter who you are. You will not survive. It's kind of like one of these images where, I don't know if you ever seen the Godfather, the original Godfather, where one of the main guys wakes up and there's a horse's head in his bed.
Yeah, yeah.
And he has a heart attack. Well, now picture seeing a figure that the mind and the brain can't comprehend, that is so traumatizing and scary, yet evil, that you can't understand it to a point where you're not trying to comprehend. It just shuts you down, and you can't control yourself. It's like that part just stops. That's what I feel happened here. The entity showed itself, and I will stick to that.
Okay. Now, so when Lorraine Warren said, she put it in that box. A box don't hold. I saw your one clip that you did with TMZ, and There's no way a box can hold a demonic entity in it, dude. It can't. It's impossible. I mean, you'd have to throw every single holy water, rosaries, crosses, the whole 9 yards in that box with that doll. But you know as well as I do, that box could not hold. That could not hold.
It's funny you're saying. I know where you're going with that, and it's funny you're saying that and bringing that up because Dan and I had a talk about that. Actually, the priest that was part of that whole legacy, I talked to on my radio show years ago, and I asked him that same question about the box and does it hold the energy? And here's the answer, which is pretty valid. It's the intent and thought. And I know this is way out there, but it's kind of like I have you concealed with crosses and prayers, and I hold you at bay because it's the intent that we're thinking. Now, let me do a little schooling on this, what I mean. You go to a hospital, you got a sick friend, cousin, father, relative in the hospital, and what would you do? You would pray, right? To whoever you pray to, right? So you pray with feelings, love, your heart, and intent, right? Intent. Please heal this person of cancer, sickness, right? Intent, because you're intending that prayer to be strong and answered by the other side. Well, when you have an energy put in a box and you have a strong enough intent and belief, and most of us don't, that it will be confined in the box, are there possibilities that the energy doesn't affect that person? We did a study as investigators years ago where we psychosomatically had told a carpenter to come into the home and do some work. He didn't know the home was haunted. He went into the portal in the basement and he did his work and nothing happened to him. He had to put some framing on the walls and whatnot. The next week, we had a medium come into that same room who felt like they couldn't breathe. It was the intent of thought that the manifestation gives it to create its energy. Now, let's talk as investigators, right? You're a paranormal investigator?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk as paranormal investigators. You know what a paranormal hangover is, correct?
Yes.
Okay, what is it?
Just like zoned out, dude. Just like.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
A paranormal hangover is something like.
Paranormal hangover. The next day, right after like a big investigation, you feel like.
Oh my God! You go and eat pancakes. You go to a buffet.
And what do you think that happened?
Because we're dealing with too much energy, especially if you're empathic.
Energy, right? Yeah. So, as a paranormal investigators, here's what we know. No matter what piece of equipment you have, and quite frankly, I debunk a lot of the equipment out there, but let's just say you have REM pods, K2s, and the SLS, and all this other stuff, right? In my opinion, you just need a digital recorder, but
that's all you need in the K2 meter. In the K2 meter.
I debunked the K2 meter. Get a cable TV remote that's strong enough. It'll make the signal go off with the batteries. It'll make the light flicker. It's crazy, but if there's certain metal in your walls and you hit that button, that remote button there, I was a big person of the K2 meter. Hold the K2 meter and turn your arm. Turn your arm. Watch what happens. If you're near a wall, it's weird, but it's energy that again could be from an outlet. But having said that, we know that batteries get drained in paranormal equipment.
Oh God, yeah.
Okay. Now, what happens is after the batteries get drained, because that's the first thing. Hey, my DVR's dead. My REM pod's no good. My camera just died. I hear it all the time and all the time and all the time. You know what happens next? In a real evil haunting, one person gets taken over and they don't feel well. One person, not two, but one. I don't feel well. I'm lightheaded. My equilibrium balance is off. I feel drained. I have to get out of the house or building. To get out of the house or building, to go out and get some fresh air. And it started to come to again. So it's depleting the person's energy. So let's say there's an invisible force that you cannot see, and it attaches itself to you. It's draining you so that it becomes stronger. So then we realize that after that happens, the shadows start to appear. The actual I see something in the corner of my eye flying by, right? That I see it, no, I don't see it, I see it, because it's so quick, but we see these shadows going by on the corner of the eye. Then there's a presence that happens. During an evil investigation, it's a negative weight, and you feel like something is starting to hold somebody down, if not yourself. And that means at that point, the entity has gained control and ground over the territory, and it can manipulate you. Now, I have seen the nicest look. There have been female and paranormal investigators come to my home. They were nice and charming. They went in the basement about an hour and they want to fight everybody. They want to beat me up. I'm kind of like,
I've been there. I've been there, dude.
Like, what did I do to you? You walked in as a nice person. I thought we were friends. I don't want to get beat up.
That was like I had a 4'10" Asian girl, on an investigation, and she just was scrapping that, man. She was like duking it out with everybody.
So
before
is the energy is taking over the person as a conduit, because we had the intent to communicate. So we ourselves have opened up a veil, so to speak, a portal to the other side. We open ourselves up, and sometimes we open ourselves up to the wrong thing. And that's a big thing, because Ouija boards as well. I've had bad experiences, and I think that nothing good comes out of a Ouija board.
Nope, not at all, dude. My number one rule in my group. But listen, my friend Joni McGillick, and this is a good question for you. Is Horsefly Chronicles a book or your radio program?
No, we used to have radio. My wife and I, my wife was the host, Horsefly Chronicles Radio. That was a few years ago. There's a Horsefly Chronicles book. That's the original book. And there's the Curse of the Horsefly Chronicles book. But that's all like 2015.
Julia, I know you're listening and watching. You got to call Michelle and get your butts back on this stand on UPRN. So no excuses. No excuses. Get your butt back on here, because you guys had an awesome show. So Kurt, you did. Yep, she says yep. No, I'm silly. Get your butt back on UPRN, Julia, please. She's laughing her ass off. Kurt says, so like if I can't see you, you can't see me, even if they're right in front. If you so, would it be up to the person that put the doll in the box, didn't have real intentions, or whoever visits the doll?
When you visit the doll, I was just talking about this.
I hope so, Julia.
I was just talking about this with Matt Rife on TMZ, that, look, I talk by experience for myself and my family. I'm not going to claim to be an expert, and I am not going to claim to be a know-it-all. But when you live the life, you kind of know the trigger points of what these things can do. And they're master manipulators. They are. And it's all intent and all thought. So let's say the Annabelle doll's on tour, right? It's a very tainted, haunted object, right? Now, some people are vulnerable, right? You know what that word means, vulnerable? That means that they're susceptible to getting some kind of an influence. I have seen time and time again people go on ghost hunts. Oh, I just want to have a couple of drinks or take some type of pills. And I'm like, is this something wrong with you? Oh, listen, it's out there. Don't kid yourself. I've been on many investigations where I've seen this. And I'm like, is there something wrong with you? You don't do that, because if you don't go into an investigation, even as a guest with clear mind, body, spirit, you are a target number one. You are a target. And what these things will do, they found their way in. And people say, well, I left that investigation, nothing happened to me. You know, and nothing happened. The devil doesn't wear a watch. We do.
No,
A year
no
later,
time. He has no time at all.
he has
He has
no
all
time.
the time in the world.
A year later, when you're in a, God forbid, knock on wood you're not, but in a bad car accident or something bad happens to someone you love, we tend to trace everything backwards. And we could say, well, there's coincidence because everyone has this, that. I do agree, right? There are, look, car accidents and heart attacks, but we look at timing, the frequency and the timing of what a person did and where they were, and a point of change in their life where they went to an investigation, they weren't self-protected in the way where maybe they had some kind of substances, and they leave there, and then 6 months later they see their life demise. And I've seen this over and over again, even with investigators, which I will not name on the show, that are unfortunately not around. It knows, it just tampers along your life. You start to get some depression. Your bills, you can't pay them. You feel like you don't belong in the world. You have suicidal thoughts. People are fighting with you for no reason. You become isolated with family, friends, and relatives. And then you say, well, how did all this happen? Backtrack. Backtrack. That's how it happened.
Yep.
So you got to be careful.
Absolutely. Now, Vet Girl, she says, Phil, I got a question to pick your brain out. Because I very much value what you are saying, so you have a box filled with positive intentions to contain evil energy. I wonder if someone bad, let me see if she figures that out. If she said, if somebody with bad intentions could undo the containment or even septics. Thank you. Basically, what she's saying is, so you got all this good intention in that box, and somebody that doesn't have good intentions opens up the box. Is all that good intention energy gone?
You know, if anyone ever watched the documentary with Lorraine Warren, you know what she said when she was showing the Annabelle? Don't look into its eyes. So what she was saying in perspective is, don't give it that much attention. You can look at it, but don't look deeply into it. Because what you're doing then, and if you have a bad intention, can a person release a negative force from a box with ill intentions that had a void from a demonic presence? 1000%.
Oh, interesting. Hold on a second. Now, Kevin had, as their Ouija spirit that I spoke to calm down and agreed on a mutual coexistence, became a spirit guide protector. So I have to disagree. Nothing good comes out of a Ouija board. That is so true, brother. That is so true. And he says, oh, they want to know where he's at, PPS chat. But no, but you're, oh, wait, here it is. I'm sorry, dear Phil. I just get a lot of people talking, and I love it when they talk. I call everybody in my chat room who follow my shows. I call them my guardian angels, is what I call them. They're my guardian angels.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, they are. They are my guardian angels. Brian also said, battle of indeptions. Whoever's in depth is stronger, maybe. But let's see what Phil says. The battle. I don't know what that. I don't know how to pronounce that word. Indeptions. In depth. I don't know.
What is he trying to say? What is he trying to ask?
Whoever has. I really don't know. Hey, Kevin, I love you to death, man. But can you somehow do that? Intentions, he's saying. Intentions. Thank you, buddy. Okay. Okay. Okay, where we at?
Sorry about that I'm not in chat. I'm running this feed off of iPad, and so I asked Sean, to just like read out the questions. But I value every question.
Yeah, they do. They're good people, man. He says, battle of intentions. Whoever his intention is stronger, maybe. Like I want to say, maybe I'm right or wrong here, but what I feel is the guy with the good intentions, or could be stronger than the dude with the bad intentions, putting that stuff in the box. Am I right around that area, Kevin? I don't know. Let's see what we got. Oh, that girl goes, whomever has the stronger intentions would tip the scale, he means. Thank you, that girl. That's what he's saying. That's what
As the stronger intentions can tip the scale. I would agree with that. You know, it kind of goes into spell casting too, because if you think about it, let's say, Sean, both of us had a spell book, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're both beginners, right? We don't know how to cast spells. We just want to read the book and learn. And then you come up with a stronger intent and say, wait a second, I got it. I know how to do this. And you have that good intent of casting spells. And I'm like the person who says, I just can't figure this one out, to have enough intent to do this.
Right.
So that question is, does the person with the stronger intent, the good or the bad, win? Yeah, the answer is yes.
Absolutely. Well, we're at the 9 o'clock mark, everybody. Listen, we got another half hour going. I'm going to take another little break here. So get your cigarettes, go to the bathroom, do what you got to do. That girl's making coffee and tea. She got some donuts from what I understand. But listen, we'll be back in a couple minutes, and then we're going to go to, for the last half hour, we're going to talk about the dude that bought the house. Okay. What's his name?
Matt Rife.
Matt Rife?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to talk about Matt Rife buying the Airbnb. So we'll see you in 2 minutes. All right, here we go. Oh, I wish I could see Horsefly Chronicles promo up here, but I don't. Come on, Julia, get it done.
Are you ready to explore the unknown? Dive into the world of the strange, mysterious, and unexplained with Eerie Expeditions magazine. Each issue is packed with spine-tingling tales, cutting-edge paranormal investigations, and exclusive insights into hauntings, cryptids, UFOs, and more. Whether you're a seasoned investigator or just love a good ghost story, Eerie Expeditions magazine has something for you. Join our growing community of truth seekers and adventure lovers. Subscribe today at EerieExpeditionsMagazine.com and unlock the secrets of the supernatural. Are you ready? That's EerieExpeditionsMagazine.com, where the extraordinary is just a click away. Dare to discover.
Welcome to Negotiating Happiness, the show that helps you find happiness, success, and balance in your work and life. I'm Adriana Fiestra, your host for this journey into entrepreneurship and personal growth. We're broadcasting live on 107.7 and 105.3 FM in New Orleans as part of the United Public Radio Network. We explore the latest strategies, insights, and stories from successful entrepreneurs and experts. From managing stress to building a thriving business, we've got you covered.
Okay, welcome to the last half hour of the show. Okay, so C.L. Thomas. C is on Tuesday nights from 9:10 or 9:15 to 10:15 or over because she follows my show. She has a very good podcast. It's called the Gateway Podcast. And she's in the house tonight. Good to see you, CL. Your wife says that's because you all know I did all the work. LOL. And then she says, why am I getting in trouble? LOL. Well,
my
I don't
wife,
know.
if it wasn't for her, there wouldn't have been a show.
I know. I can't wait for you guys to get back on here. I'm serious. I see it as a psychic. I see it. I see it as a psychic. CL, she's not feeling well today. Sorry about that. Very under weather. I hope you feel better. I hope you're good for Tuesday, man, because we need to see your show. Now, everybody who's just popping in, I got my dear friend, Mr. Phil Siracusa, and we're talking about the Annabelle doll. And thank you, Vet Girl. And we're talking about the evil energies that possibility could be in Annabelle. Okay. And that's my opinion, you know. Phil believes, yes, there could have been evil spirits or evil in there. Where is the doll now? We're going to get to that in about 30 seconds. We're going to get in about 30 seconds, CL. But, you know, that's one thing nice being in the paranormal field where you can have good questions, good discussions with other paranormal investigators and share experiences and thoughts and their own thing without getting angry at each other, you know, to where I've seen where arguments would go off the deep end. Oh my God, yes. Okay, CL, Phil, who has the doll now? I know you. I know
I'm
that
not
you
following
said.
where that doll is. I mean, last thing she was in Hawaii taking the sun. No, I'm only joking. I don't know where the doll is. In fact, I don't think anyone knows what's going on. I think it's in hiatus right now. Everything's on hold, from what I understand.
And let's talk about Kevin, who bought the house.
Matt.
You were Matt. Okay, I don't know the dude. I never.
Well, he's a comedian. Like he's one of those rough comedians. You know, he's a funny rough comedian with the vulgar language. But here's what happens, everybody, and here's how this works. And I only know this. I am not an expert. I'm a family man who's lived a very tragic life in that house and traumatized with my family what we experienced. And I could talk about experience. And here's what we've learned. That the entity, I will say demon, will pick a very high public figure that has an interest, someone who's on stage and well known, to just show an example of its authority and power over man to manipulate them in a way where it would show control. And that's what I'm afraid of. And that's why I spoke on TMZ about this. And here's the thing. And don't forget, I got a lot of rebuttal on that. Like, oh, well, I've heard people say, I'm a paranormal investigator and there's no such thing as blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to put energy into that. Everyone is entitled to their own beliefs. Everybody. I talk as a man who's lived that life for so long. That was my experience, right? That's my experience, you know, before I was going out to the locations. The demon will pick a high authority figure who's liked and known. And all the people around. Now, I'm going to break this down, so follow me on this. And then, once it opens all the doors, that negative energy, because you cannot see negative energy. It's a dark energy. You don't see it. Sometimes you may see a dark shadow. I'm talking about a master manipulator here who shows you something that doesn't even exist. It's a false illusion. So what's happening is this public figure, Matt Rife, who I respect. He's up on stage. He's a young guy. He's performing. The demon will show its authority, and unfortunately, I see people like this be taken down. Now, I'm not saying, and God forbid, right, that the guy's going to croak tomorrow or something bad's going to happen. But when I went to investigations, one thing I've seen is, let's say you have a room of 50 people. Oh, I want to see a ghost. I want to see a ghost. And then you get the paranormal team there, and they start taking out all their equipment. You know what starts to happen at first? Everyone's building up an energy of intent and thought. I want to see, I want to see, I want to see. And they're creating this energy for the entity, or if it's a good haunting, a spirit to manifest, right? Intention of thought. Now, when you're taking something on tour, or you're bringing people to the Warren Museum, the devil found his way in. I got all of you. Now, it doesn't mean that every person that goes to one of these events has a crooked life from that point on. That's not what this means. But what it means is that frequency and reach, frequency and reach. I have seen, and there was not one time I did not see this. There were people that used to come to my home, and one person said, well, I'm going to stay alone in the garage and just sit here. I said, no, you're not. You're not going to do that. And let me tell you why you're not going to do that. Because it will seek you out and something will happen. And people used to argue, I'm doing it, don't tell me what to do. It's like, okay. No exaggeration. 10 minutes later, after the investigation and the event's over, I get a phone call. I was in a car accident, Phil. Can you come over? A few blocks away. You could say, well, it's a coincidence. No, I told you not to stay alone. This is what happens. And I've also heard over 100 times, something followed me back, something followed me back. Now, I will rule out psychosomatic, power of thought, power of suggestion, because our mind can play tricks on us. We all know this. But there's the other part where the proof is solid that it has followed someone back. I've had seasoned paranormal investigators at my own home years ago almost crying, saying, it won't leave me alone. What do I do? So when you have so many people in a controlled environment, and this is like a show and tell, well, what do you think Ed and Lorraine said? Number one, don't touch. Number two, don't stare in the eyes. And number three, it's not a circus act. And it's not. And I feel for people. I do, because I've lost a lot of people. And I've seen people that horrific things have happened that I don't even want to believe. And that's my take on it. And I've seen it. And I have documented cases with pictures of deceased. I will not show the public. I have respect for these people, but you have to draw the line. So, well, where's coincidence and where's the facts? And the facts draw the line of timing and frequency. And when you're putting yourself into a vulnerable spot on the devil's playground, now people will say, well, I want to learn. I want to investigate. I want to see. I understand that. That's what cameras are for. That's what DVR systems are for. That's what streaming's for. But when you're putting yourself into that environment and you don't know what you're doing,
Yep.
You are capable of being overtaken.
Yep.
And I'm not talking about possession, but I am talking about oppression. You know, and I will go back to one of the biggest cases in history is the Amityville Horror. Now let's look at Ron DeFeo. Now, if you ever watch his documentaries and he's being interviewed by either detectives, investigators, or even psychics, he always gave a different story. Mafia killed the family. My sister killed the family. My sister helped me kill the family. I went to the bar, got drunk, I was on drugs, and I killed the family. You know what's happening here? Master manipulation through the entity will never give a false, and never false. It will always give the interpretations of, you'll never see me. You won't know whether I'm positive or false. You will never identify me. You know, in the beginning of the show, I talked about how Sarah, who was affecting our lives, was the girl, was a false impression. We believed. You know the person that you had said plays with the Ouija board. You know, in 1993, she was picked up in Staten Island, New York, on a board, and she proved to be real. You know how? She told us what was going on in a different part of the home, where you would blame someone for moving the planchette for the answers, and she's proven it. And you know what she did? She built my trust. The entity had built my trust. There was an innocent girl that was murdered because that's who she was saying. She was murdered. I was in grammar school. I was kidnapped. It was the devil in disguise.
Mm-hmm. And if you could tell everybody, I've been being a ghost because I'm going in and out. But CL says, okay, and I'll be honest with you, I do kind of agree with her on this a little bit, a lot. I think everything the Warrens did is just for movies and cash, not believing the doll or any of the cases they were on. If she is haunted, someone recent did it.
I disagree.
And
I disagree 1,000%, and I'm gonna answer that. I'm gonna
okay,
answer that. Okay.
yeah,
I'm from Staten Island, New York. The Amityville house was in Long Island, New York. Me and 9 of my friends went into the old Cadillacs. You know those big old Cadillacs?
yep.
You know, my father had said, this is for you. He gave us a hand-me-down, you know. So we went to Amityville, New York. Now listen, follow me on this. So we find the house. The house was green, right? This is back. It was vacant actually. There was a point that the house was vacant. So we were goofing around, you know. And one of my friends says, "Let's break into the house. Let's break into the house." I'm like, "No, I'm not breaking into the house," you know. So we go on the front lawn, right? And we start taking pictures. Like, look at me. I'm with the Amityville house, and we're joking around and all that, yada yada yada, all that stuff. When you're a teenager, you know, we were just little punks. So we get back in the caddy and like sardines, all 9 of us, and we're cool. We went to the Amityville house and took pictures. Now, you listen to this very carefully. On the Long Island Expressway, about a half hour later, the radio in the car starts getting so staticky that no station was coming through. And we're teenagers thinking, okay, we're going to stop picking up a single. So back then, you had that was with Kodak cameras and all that stuff. So you had to get the film developed, you know?
Yeah, those were the
So
fun ones.
So one of the girls, we always hang out at a certain point in Staten Island, like meet up, you know, talk and all that stuff, you know, like a bunch of hoodlums. And they go, "Hey guys, I got to show you something." She goes, "I want to show you the pictures at this house that we went to, that Amityville house." She goes, "There's something weird to these pictures." So when you're a teenager, you don't really buy into this stuff, you know. Guess what? 9 of us didn't come out in a row of 12 pictures. The house
No,
did.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
9 of us did not come out in the pictures. Only the house did.
That's crazy. That's crazy, dude.
And that's a fact.
I have a similar story to that
So
myself.
when people say, and I hear all the time, and no disrespect intended, everyone has their own belief, that Ed and Lorraine were fake or they weren't real or it's for the money in the movies. I 1,000,000% disagree because of the life that I've lived, the similarities I've been through. My wife and I have watched how these people live through their formative documentaries and their style and what they've lived and what they've documented and whatever film that came out in our life and say, wait a second, now we're dealing with a similar thing and this, and we'll do a checkpoint. Just like you're getting pulled over by a cop. We'll do a checkpoint, A, B, C, D. And then we start to say to ourselves, they were right. So now, does money make movies? Yes, of course it does. But everyone wants a story told. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that, dude. I do. I appreciate it. And so does CL. I guarantee it. But that's like I said before we got to that how we can just sit here, have a conversation, agree to disagree,
Yes.
and not get mad at each other. You know?
No.
No, but you know the pictures you were saying. Long story short, we were investigating Blue Mist Road, and there's a house just fell like roof collapsed. And so I had four guys on the roof. And when we took the pictures, right, it showed that they were on the roof. Okay, when we took the pictures. The very next day, we're up at Eaton Park, and they come barreling in Eaton Park, and they're like so excited. I'm like, what the hell? What the hell? What the hell? Here, when they got the film developed, the last 4 shots on that camera, there was nothing on them. There were nothing.
There you go.
Nothing.
Case in point. Case in point. There you go.
And
amen.
Yes. So, okay, hold on. We got a lot of people saying so. Sean, am I real? I don't know. Am I real, Phil? I think I am.
I hope you're real.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Well, one thing, you're a great guy, Sean.
So are you, sir. But Mish says I keep disappearing. It's my ghost act. It's my ghost act. Okay. CL says I've been to the Amityville house. The guy who did the murders was heavy on drugs. Johnny says, Phil, where in New York are you from? She was born and raised on Long Island, New York.
Staten Island.
Staten Island. Is there anything? I don't know nothing about New York. I don't know. I know they got good pizza up there.
Spreading the news. You gotta play that song.
Yeah. CL says just a difference of opinion. I believe in haunt.
Of course.
I believe
I
in haunting.
respect everyone's opinion, decisions, thoughts. Yeah. Look, this is what we do. I'm not better than anybody else. We just share stories and what we've been through and what we've experienced.
Yeah, but we don't have to fight and argue about it.
No.
And CL says Sean is a ghost. I am. Oh, see, I'm a ghost. I know. Too funny.
There's something I want to say.
Go right ahead.
That just came to me.
Okay.
When we left that Amityville house, we were just messing around like a bunch of punks, and the radio was staticky. And the pitches, the girl took all the pitches, but I told you what happened. But what did happen also was that I remember not too far after that, one of my friends, I'm not going to say his name, he's like, hey, let's go do the Ouija board. Let's go. And I was like, no. So he convinced me to do the Ouija board, And we were just goofing around in another person's house. And then he started saying, Satan, can you hear me? Satan, communicate with me. Now, this is touching because this was a street kid who didn't believe in any nonsense ghost. He didn't believe in anything. Like, this is back in the 80s where nobody talks about this stuff,
Right.
And I remember this one time he just kept saying, Satan, can you hear me? And he's like, Phil, yes, Satan. I was like, what are you doing? Do you know, now that I look back, he's been in jail 15 times, witness protection. He went from a great life to an imbalanced life, all downhill after that point.
Wow.
So when we talk about how an energy can follow you because you have an intent and a weak thought, and then the Annabelle doll and this map bringing people to the museum, or sleeping over as Airbnb, however they're going to plan this, the devil already knew. The devil already had the plan. It's people like me who come forward and say, I wouldn't do it. I can't tell you what to do, but I'm just saying I would think twice about this. I know people like thrills and chills, and sometimes it ain't the thrill and chill of a roller coaster. It could be unfortunate demise of a person.
Definitely see how dark energies do attack those vices, and that is the truth. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, well, it's crazy with me, Phil. I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I've been sober 35 years now.
Awesome.
And I do, thank you, and I do believe in my heart that if I was still drinking, I would not be where I'm at today. And that's the truth. And I truly believe that my higher power, who I call God, kind of like said, okay, this, I'm going to help you out here. And he did. Okay. 15 years in, I sat at an AA meeting and I said, do I want to do this the rest of my life? Thank you, Johnny. And then all of a sudden it was crazy. It was just like, okay, let's get into ghost hunting. It was kind of crazy, man. It was crazy. January 2006, I said, I got to do something else. The end of January, February, I was up in Gettysburg, did my first ghost tour, and that was it. And I was hook, line, and sinker. And I tell you what, I've been on a lot of investigations, just like you, into some really, really, really bad haunted houses, demonic ones at that. And I just glad that I gave you the opportunity to share your story and to talk. Do you hear that clicking noise? Do you hear a clicking noise? There's like some clicking noise. Maybe it's an EVP off the station. I bet you that is. Kevin, can you find out, buddy? Please. Kevin, who's in the chat room, whenever we think we hear EVPs, he'll be there. Oh, okay, Julia heard it. Heidi heard it. Beck Girl did. Can you look at it? It's about 1:16 into the show. Kevin, I'd appreciate it if you can. Yeah, click, click, click. That's what it is. So we are getting an EVP. But Phil, thank you, brother. How can people, find you or get a hold of you?
You can look me up, Philip Siracusa. I'm on Facebook. You can look up. Well, we don't do the radio no more, but you can Google me, and you see. If you go on YouTube, you'll see like the past teams that were at the home and that investigated my property. You'll see some of our investigations. It's all on YouTube under the Horsefly Chronicles. It's an abundance of pages and work that we've done and created, and to show the realism of paranormal phenomenon that does exist in a coexisting world. But I want to thank you. You have a great show, and I'm so happy for you that you are still on the air, keeping it going strong, and the opportunity. And for the people listening, please share this show because it's for Sean, and I want people to listen to some of these key words of the cautions that you really need to take, because it's not just the goosebumps and it's over because you said it's over. It doesn't work like that. So thank you, Sean.
Thank you. Julia says, great show. Kurt says, thank you, Phil, for your time tonight and information and knowledge. It's appreciated, buddy. All pieces of the puzzle matter. Yes. That is true. Children, I want to thank Phil. Thank you, Johnny. I want to, thank Phil for coming on tonight. Like I said, he's a dear friend, a very awesome, very good paranormal investigator. And he's a good dude, man. Real good dude. And I'm grateful that he got to be on tonight. And just to mention, his wife is a good person too. I know she's hearing it. Don't forget, Julia, call Michelle and tell her that you want to come back on again. Okay? But I'll keep quiet now. Children, if you can, please go to your parents, give them a hug, and tell them that you love them. And parents, please go to your children, give them a hug, and tell them that you love them. And if you have no children, if you have no parents, find someone, give them a hug, and tell them that you love them. Because those 3 words, I love you, go a long way. On that note, I will see you Tuesday night.